Welcome back to the Be a Man podcast, where we encourage men to be better men. I am glad you are with me this evening. We have a lot to talk about. Yeah, I'm excited to do a solo episode again as we continue our series on Who is God. And again, that's inspired by the Call to Act podcast with Donovan Jones. I just had him on. He was on the last episode, in fact, and we talked about being more creative and as Christians, how to be creative. And I hope you enjoyed that. If you haven't listened, go and check that out and go and listen to his series on Who is Jesus. He's been going through. It's been really helpful, really encouraging, answers some questions I think we all wrestle with at times. And I think you will find it very helpful, very encouraging. Go ahead and subscribe to his podcast and or video on YouTube as well. All right, just to give a little rundown, things have been very busy. This time of year, things are ramping up. Fall is in full swing as I record this. And when it comes out, Halloween will be less than a week or right at a week away. Whether you celebrate or not, I hope it is safe. I hope it is a good time. I hope you see it as an opportunity to build relationships with others in your community and hopefully have some fun with your kids as well if you have them. And if not, then strive to be encouraging to other kids as they enjoy the holidays as well. But with that, men, I want to challenge you before we go any further and dive into our little series here together. I want to encourage you to be planning out, to be thinking forward about prioritizing the right things this holiday season. A lot of times, myself included, it can feel overwhelming. Things can just be thrown at you from left and right, and things that you are not expecting at all. So it is important to have a plan. Prioritize your wife if you're married. Make time for dates. Do those things that are important to your marriage. Second, prioritize your kids. Make sure they have memories that they can remember. One of my earliest memories from when I was a child is going to the pumpkin patch. I just remember it for being very small, probably just 2. It's one of my earliest memories of things that were that I can remember from that age, and I just make the memories a priority for your family. The kids will not forget them. They will live on for years and years and years to come, and they will want to do same things with their kids as well. So make it a priority. Start marking things down on the calendar. Say no to more things if need be. I know I struggle with that as well. So say no to things if it's too much, and make the most of this holiday, fall, autumn season as you enjoy it with your family. Okay, now with that, let's dive into our series on Who is God. It's been great. I know several have been listening, several have been watching. I've seen the numbers. This is interesting to a lot of different people. So I hope it has been encouraging you as well as you seek to know who is God. Again, I'm taking most of this from Mark Jones's book, The Attributes of God, or I think it's called God Is, but it's about the attributes of God. Very helpful, very good series, very good book, great application if you've not checked it out. It's meant to be more of like a devotional type book. Go check it out as well. Another resource is The Attributes of God by Arthur Pink. Great standard book for those who want to know doctrine, those who want to know theology, good doctrine. Go check that out. Buy it if you can as well. Those 2 books are excellent resources on this particular topic. But tonight we're going to hit 2 different attributes of God. The first one is this: God is infinite. When we think about infinity, I'm sure a lot of things come to mind. Maybe the Marvel movies. Maybe you just think, I double dog dare you to infinity, or maybe it's Toy Story, Buzz Lightyear, to infinity and beyond. There's lots of things that come up when we think about the word infinity, but when it applies to God, here's a verse for you, Job 11. It says, "Can you find out the deep things of God? Can you find out the limit of the Almighty? It is higher than heaven. What can you do?" Deeper than Sheol, what can you know? Its measure is longer than the earth and broader than the sea. Okay, so just simply, there's no limit to who God is. The infinity of God simply means that there's no limit to God's perfections. Stephen Charnock, he said, he was a theologian, he said, and has written some different books, he said, whatever God is, he is infinitely so. John Flavel, a Puritan writer, he said about the infinity of God, he said this, respecting the perfection of his essence, the infinity of God is respecting time and place and respecting his incomprehensibility. Finite creatures cannot comprehend the infinite God. When you think about it, our minds cannot fathom something that is truly infinite. And when we think about God's attributes, we should consider each and every one of them as infinite. So his love is infinite, his justice is infinite, his holiness is infinite. Several of these that we're going to look at here in the coming weeks, in the coming months as well. Whatever attribute we speak of, that is infinitely a part of God. Nothing can limit him, and nothing is too hard for him. And that fact alone is truly incomprehensible. Our minds just cannot wrap around it fully because we're finite beings, aren't we? We are finite, but God is infinite. So why does that matter? Well, let's apply that to the cross. Let's apply that to what Jesus did on the cross. And when we think about the forgiveness that Christ gives us because of his sacrificial death, it is of infinite worth. There's no limits to what that sacrifice is or what it paid for. It is infinite in its worth and its forgiveness that we can take hold of and bask in and know that God has forgiven us for eternity. And we serve an infinite God. Our praises to him, they just fall very short of what is due to him. They truly just pale in comparison to what is really needed when we worship and praise God. But he accepts our praises despite our weaknesses. That's truly amazing, isn't it? It's humbling for me as I think about knowing the fact that I'm a sinner saved by grace. I am someone who can offer God praise, but I know it just falls far short of what he truly deserves, and yet he welcomes it. And yet he says, keep going, keep doing it, and I'm going to give you the strength, I'm going to give you the spirit to live inside of you to help you do it. It's just truly amazing and just shows how much we owe to God and all that he has done for us. He truly, when we think about his infinite love, I think we need to think about his infinite grace as well. He just pours out his grace upon us each and every single day. Sometimes we are aware of it, sometimes we're not. But each and every day, God is continuing to pour out his graces upon us, and we need it more and more and more, and we can truly be thankful for that. Second attribute, God is eternal. In Isaiah, it says in chapter 40, verse 28, have you not known? Have you not heard? The Lord is the everlasting God, the creator of the ends of the earth. He does not faint or grow weary. His understanding is unsearchable. God is an everlasting God. God is an eternal God. There is no beginning. There is no end. We simply cannot conceive of what it means for God to be eternal. When we think of something, it has a beginning. And with God, there was no beginning. And our minds can't wrap around that truth. We just must accept it with faith or by faith, knowing that that's just the matter of fact of how it was. God has always been. There was no beginning when it comes to God. He just was. In fact, you could say when he created things, That was probably when time began as well, when he set things in motion, the sun and the moon and the different things that are involved in time. That is when eternity, when we think of it as applied to ourselves, when time actually began. But God always was. He was before all these things, and he always will be. Our minds just cannot fathom eternity. So what's it mean that God's eternal? His eternality is unlike the eternal state experienced by humans or angels, all of whom were created in him, or in time. Time has a beginning, but God has no beginning. He is truly, as the Old Testament says, the Ancient of Days. He also has no ending. God has no succession of moments. If you think about, let's just use a baseball example. Each inning is a succession of time. It's a succession of innings. Certain things must take place in order, the top, the bottom of the innings. Certain things must take place in order for the innings to keep going. You could say the same about football. There's a quarter, and there's things that have to happen a certain amount of time, and then another quarter, and then another quarter. But it helps us realize, as we think about it like that, that we are temporal beings. We are temporal creatures. Grasping the full scope of eternity lies completely beyond us. So why is that important? Because when we speak of grace, when we speak of heaven, when we speak of hell, when we speak of love, when we speak of these other doctrines we find in the scriptures, we must speak not in generalities, as Mark Jones says, but in specifics, because the scriptures speak in specifics. They highlight these things exactly as they are set in eternity, in stone. We should speak of uh, God as eternal because that's how he is. We should speak of ourselves as temporal, which applies to us very importantly, especially as we think about sharing the good news of the gospel. Because if people come to the understanding that, yes, life is temporal, heaven, hell will be here for an eternity, and you must, by God's grace, I pray, come to a saving belief, saving reality in Christ so that you might be with him in heaven forever one day. Yet, if not, there's a very real hell for those who do not embrace the gospel of Jesus Christ. It's a fact, a matter that we read in the scriptures, and eternity impacts those truths. There is no get out of jail free card. No, there's not. These truths are a reality, and we must come to grips with them. And that's why these two truths, these two attributes are so important. God is infinite and God is eternal. If God was not eternal, he would not be infinite. If he was not infinite, he could not be eternal. God is both. That's who he is. Now, for us, as we hear these truths, we should be thankful. We should be filled with gratitude. We should wake up tomorrow and embrace the day knowing that we serve an eternal and infinite God. And there is so much comfort. There is so much grace. There's so much love. There's so much peace. There's a lot of things going around us right now, a lot of wars, rumors of wars, all these things going on right now that tend to fill people with anxiety, with worry. And when we realize that God is infinite, God is eternal, we should be filled with hope. We should be a people who live as those who have hope. We're not like the pagans. We're not like the lost world who tries to grasp this vice for hope or this thing for hope. No, we serve a good God, a sovereign God who is over it all. And in that truth, we find hope. So I hope that's encouraging to you. I hope you will take that truth. Please share it with others. Whether you share this podcast video or not, that's totally up to you. But share the hope of Christ with others. We live in a world, as we look out, that is filled with darkness and is just looking for a little piece of hope. Give people that hope. Give people Jesus. Now, with that being said, if you like what we're doing here, like, subscribe, share with a friend. I do really appreciate that truth. And it's encouraging to me, it's humbling to me, but I want you to know that I do appreciate those things. And I hope that this will be encouraging to you as you go through the rest of your week. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. You can comment on here. You can shoot me a message on Twitter X or Instagram. Those are probably the two best places. Either way, just shoot me a message. I really do appreciate that, and I would be very much happy to get back to you about those things. But I hope that what we're doing here is encouraging to you, and I hope it will encourage you to go and be a better man this week.